Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my review for RoboCop, which is of course the remake of the 1987 classic film, which is actually one of my favorite films of all time. And when I heard there was going to be a remake of that film, I wasn't like, I hope it doesn't happen because that's one of my favorite movies ever. No, I was very, very skeptical, but I was still hoping it would be good. I was. So, it's finally out, it's rated PG-13, which I was a little sad about that, but still, that's not why the original RoboCop is great, okay? So hopefully, I was hoping it was going to be good. So what did I think of the new RoboCop? Let's talk about it. The story for RoboCop at first is very similar to the original because of course you follow Alex Murphy, who is a cop who gets critically injured on the job. He pretty much loses most of his body and he's pretty much dead. But of course a bunch of scientists fix him up, put a bunch of robot stuff on him, and make him into RoboCop. Everybody knows that story, you know, mostly. But in this film they actually change it up a little bit because in that film, of course, RoboCop goes after pretty much the guys that created him. In this film, it's a little different, a little bit different. Don't want to spoil it, just in case. I mean, you know, if I said what happened, it would be a spoiler, obviously, but I don't want to talk about too much, but it's very similar at first, and then it actually goes and develops its own thing, which I really, really like when a remake does, where it's just not a complete rehash of the original. That's why movies like Psycho suck, you know, the remake, not the original, because it's exactly the same. Why would you want the exact same thing? Have something different, and that's what this movie does, which I really enjoyed. You know what, I'm just going to tell you straight up, and I'm very surprised to say this, but I really liked this film. I thought it was really good. When the first trailer came out, I was like, I was very skeptical. I was like, I don't know about this. And to be honest, pretty much what I saw in the trailer happened in the film. You know, it wasn't like it was completely different. It was very similar, but I just enjoyed it. What I saw on the screen, all the action, all of the social commentary, all of the performances, the dialogue, you know, the way it was paced, everything was pretty damn good for the most part. The cast is great here. Joel Kinnaman, who I haven't seen in too many films, I heard he's really good on The Killing, and there's a movie called Easy Money I heard he was really good in. Also, he was in some movies like Safe House, or I'm sorry, yes, Safe House with the Denzel Washington. But I haven't seen him in too many films, but he is great in this. You actually really care for him. What I really like about this RoboCop is that he actually does remember who he is straight from the beginning. In the original, he doesn't know who he is, then he actually starts to learn who he is. In the beginning, he knows who he is, which I actually really like in this film, so they changed that up a little bit, which isn't really a spoiler, to be honest. But his character is really likable. You actually get to know who he really is as a person, and of course later as a RoboCop, and he's really good in the role. So yeah, I really liked him. Abby Cornish as his wife, I never really cared much for Abby Cornish as an actress. I haven't seen her really be good in a film, but I thought she was really good in this film as well. Gary Oldman as the scientist Norton, who creates RoboCop. In the original film, his character, I think he's like the only character that actually comes back in name. In the original film, that character was a complete dick. You didn't like him. In this film, he's actually a very sympathetic scientist. You actually do like him. And of course, Gary Oldman is a fantastic actor, so you're going to like Gary Oldman. He's great. Michael Keaton plays the head of Omnicorp, the company that brought RoboCop into fruition. So he is actually really good. I love Michael Keaton. No surprise there. And the rest of the cast does a damn good job as well. Yeah, there you go. That's the cast, that's the acting, that's the story. I really liked it. Like I said, it's a well-paced film. It's not too long. It's a little less than 2 hours long, and they spend a good amount of time with everything. It's not too quick, it's not too slow. They spend a good amount of time with him as a human, as a RoboCop in the beginning when he's a novice, and then of course as RoboCop when he's a badass, where he's an expert. So they spend a good amount of time with everything, which I like. Also, like I said, the dialogue, while not amazing, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the dialogue or the script is, you know, spectacular, but it's serviceable. It's good enough, and there is plenty of really, you know, funny moments and some tongue-in-cheek references to the original film, which you'll definitely notice if you watch the original film. It's really good. I really liked it for the most part. But what I really loved about this film is that even though there's not too much action, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty damn big budget, but it's not too much. There's not too many action scenes in the film, but when it gets to the action and the special effects, they are both fantastic. Now, the action, there is one scene I didn't like. There's one action piece I didn't like. There's a part later in the film where he's fighting everybody in the dark pretty much, and if you see the film you know what I'm talking about. It's a very confusing action scene. It's very awkwardly staged too. I didn't think it was that great. But every other action scene, especially the end one with Ed 209, is amazing. If you see the film you know what I'm talking about. The big mech robot things, you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, like scenes like that, those action scenes are amazing, and the special effects are so seamless. First of all, for people that are like, oh, the RoboCop suit looks stupid, I think it looks pretty cool, especially before they paint it black, which is kind of stupid. They paint it black, it looks ridiculous. But when it's, just, silver, just like the original, it looks great. It's bulky. The way Joel Kinnaman moves in it looks exactly like RoboCop. I loved it. So in my opinion, I think the suit looks cool. But then when it gets to the special effects with all the other robots and, the Ed 209s and the explosions and the action, it all looks really good. And it's very surprising that this is just $100 million, because I would have expected it to be around 150 to 200 million. It was really good. I love the special effects in this film. So overall, I think this is a very fun film. It's not as good as the original. It's not, I wouldn't say it's close, but it's like, it's getting there. It's like 60% as good as the original film, if that makes sense. That movie I love. This one I really like. There is some problems. There's not really too much slowness, but there is some problems here and there. And most of those problems are stuff like the villain isn't as likable as he was in the original film. It's pretty much just comparing it to the original film. But if you compare this to just itself, you don't compare it to anything else, then it's a damn good film on its own. I know I'm confusing everybody, but I like the film. I really did. I'm going to give it a 33 out of a 40. RoboCop was a lot of fun. Thank you and goodbye.